Hey, how's it going, Old School Runescape, and welcome back to the weekly recap. This week we saw a few additions make their way to the game from Pull 33, including the World Switcher, which allows you to hop seamlessly between worlds without having to re-enter your login details. We also saw a buff to the Ring of the Gods to allow an imbue that can be combined with the effect of the Holy Wrench, as well as several right-click NPC options for increased convenience around the game. Now, amongst the several patch notes, you'll find that Nada's Bank now has a bank deposit box, and the Kindred Headgear 4 now comes with unlimited teleports to Sherlock. Moving on, we made a post about some of the more pressing issues the community has been facing as of late, including the recent increase in server disconnections, Nightmare Zone, splashing, an increase in cheating and botting, and Zulrah and the Skeleton Wyvern drop tables. So be sure to give that a read if any of those topics pique your interest. And related to the recent increase in server disconnections, you may have noticed we've made a temporary change to the death mechanics. So if you now die outside of PvP, any non-tradable items will appear in your inventory. Also, we've significantly increased the amount of time items remain on the floor should you die. Again, these are only temporary changes until we have more of a solution. In other news, we touched on the absolutely massive Slayer dev blog released last week. Well, ModGhost has given us some graphical updates on how the Abyssal Demon and the Hellhound bosses will look. If you weren't excited for this update before, you really should be. In addition, ModMass has given us an updated mock-up of the Dual Reina's second interface, doing her best to prevent the possibility of players getting scammed. We think you'll find it a nice improvement, so be sure to give her any feedback you can in the comments section below. So let's move on to this week's Q&A, where we discussed topics such as Stealing Creation, Soul Wars, and showed off yet another resizable mode preview. And finally, we have this week's Player Spotlight feature. Starting off with an image snapped by Jinxu of a scaper at a local con. In fact, this image went on to be featured in r/Photoshop battles, with dozens of entries and over 4,000 plus points on Reddit. Up next, we have Jake C providing us with the harsh reality of an Ironman. He's got a point. And lastly, we have Tian on RS being the first ever level 126 Ironman. Well done. So that about sums up this week in Old School RuneScape. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with the game, and aside from that, we'll thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.